Live from the Real Guppy Dockside Learning and Multimedia Center. It's the Real Angler Podcast with community Kevin Brannon. Brought to you by AFTCO Fishing Apparel and Tackle. Designed to perform. Channel Island Sport Fishing. Offering deep-sea fishing on quality sport fishing charter boats. And more. Costa Sunglasses. Discover life's greatest adventures with Costa. See what's out there. Daiwa. If you want innovation and quality in your fishing products, Daiwa has what you need. And now, here's your host, community Kevin Brannon.
Pretty neat the way I see some type of what is that called? And there he is up there. Look, community Kev, man.
Yeah.
You want to see something cool? You guys watching? Scotty, grab that piece of paper that's in that first little black bin right there. Grab that. Yep, and then grab that brown folder that's on the other side of the black bins. Let's just show folks that it's that brown box thing. Yep. Look at this. This is a trademark, folks.
Ooh.
Real Angler Network.
We're
folks.
talking the law now.
Look at that. We're legitimate. Real Angler Network, Community Kev with the shirt. Nothing is impossible. And we have a great show today. Today, Scotty is my guest. We're going to talk a little about what I'm doing, what we're doing, what he's doing. To inspire. This is an inspirational podcast, meaning that you're going to hear from a couple of folks that, are working on things that they love to do. You know, we used to work together in corporate. I guess I retired a little bit before Scotty when I gave up the corporate America.
You didn't retire. You just went to work for yourself.
Some.
Yeah.
But my Texas, and they were eating the catch right on the shoreline, right on the table, and Spencer was like, "Oh, that'd be cool." And I'm like, "Well, we went to the Channel Islands, right? You had lunch at an island on the seashore." Like, yeah, but it was just a sandwich. But I'm like, the destinations that we're going to, and that's why we have these films and what we're doing. Because I did that in San Diego at actually I did it in Key West too, right? There was this fish, the hogfish, at this place called the Hogfish, where locally caught fish, and you're literally sitting on a dock eating, on the water, on the Florida side. That's very
cool. That is very cool.
But we're going there for business, right? We're filming and we're able to do
meeting
these things.
people and all this stuff.
Right. But it's so you see it on TV. My point is it quite what people think is a vacation, we actually get to do, or retirement, as a job, as an occupation, and then teaching folks again whatever it is that you love to do, how cool it would be to design that. Right.
It gives you the chance to do what you've always wanted to do, and to expand it and grow it like you've done with the Guppy Program. And you don't get that opportunity. Yeah. Not many people get that opportunity, and not that many people grab hold.
Why do you think?
Because they get stuck in the rut.
Answer.
I think they get stuck in the rut and they're a little
why
afraid.
Me? What did I do to inherit these
you
opportunities?
Weren't afraid.
Confidence, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first word here in our little word.
Barry, you dropped it. The whole time we're sitting there.
Grab that other thing, Scotty. See that? No, over there. On that wall over there where it says Guppy Development Words. Let's talk a little bit about that. Because, again, there's nothing more special about me than you folks. That the opportunities I got are created, that you can't create the opportunities that you want. Again, is it just fear or whatever it is? And that's why I wanted to hear your answer. Like, what makes me,
I think, a lot of people are afraid or afraid
fear.
Me to be too harsh.
Fear.
It is, but they don't want to change the norm. They're used to the norm. The norm feels safe.
Comfortability, being comfortable.
Yeah, being comfortable.
Safety.
And that's exactly true. I mean, I did that through my entire work time, and if it wasn't for my wife saying, you know what, you need to retire early, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today, which is hanging out, doing podcasts with you, writing my books, and doing all the other podcasts that we do. Right. The stuff I want to do, and the stuff that I think sometimes helps people.
So what got you into book writing? Let's go there. Let's shift the camera over to you and talk to you about, how many books have you written?
I've written 14 books. Just finished one that won't be out for a few years. But, that's the thing. I can finish a book in a year easily, but then it takes years to work on before it's ready for somebody to read.
Right. So you created your own opportunity, right? You didn't wait for somebody to come along and write, so you just stepped out into a faith, or you stepped into your passion. And the point I'm telling you guys all, folks, is these are a couple exterminator guys, right? These are Orkin guys right here that are writing books and traveling and doing podcasts, and you did meet and greets, and I did meet and greets, right? So there's nothing special about me and Scotty that doesn't stop you from doing what it is you love to do. Your probably biggest hurdle is yourself.
It is true,
right? I'm a Gateway graduate where the mess ups would go. I'm a fisherman. we get into the biblical stuff here, right? And that's what's neat about some of the stuff I'm reading in these books through the Bible is that he didn't use all of the wise scholars or book knowers and stuff, and they're like, how do you speak with such elegance and this? And that's how they knew that they must have been with Jesus himself, is because of the fact that how they did talk, right? But again, they weren't considered by society to be something special, and neither are we. So the point of that is, folks, is as we're doing this, it's a motivation, not to brag, right, or boast, but it is to say, hopefully that maybe this will trigger something in your brain. They use that word trigger a lot right now, and people in trauma and these different terms, but maybe that'll trigger something you to get started, to whatever it is. So like, here's our words that we teach the Guppies. And let me break this down to you folks real quick, because as I've been teaching over these last 8 months, this Oceans of Opportunity, I've had to look at these words and ask myself, which ones am I on? And one that...
Let me read the words to you, and you can tell me what they mean. But where do you want to start?
Start at the top.
Okay.
Oh, okay. And then plus... hold on.
I want to hear your angle on these things.
So check this out, folks. The Blue Carpet Premiere. My seat doesn't have wheels on it. I'm stuck. This is our Blue Carpet...
We gotta fix that.
This is the Blue Carpet Premiere. I'm going to have to move Barry for just a sec. This is our Blue Carpet Premiere, man, of our new TV show called Coastal Critters, right? And you'll see it, though. The coolest family educational TV show. It's an art collaboration with music and visual art and interns and paid interns and staff and development and partnerships that we have through educational areas and stuff. So last night we had Joshua and myself. We went to the Oxnard City Council meeting, and the word that we had to use with him was confidence. And I said, hey, you feel confident doing public speaking? And he got up there and he said, I'm Joshua with Real Guppy Outdoors, paid intern. I go to Channel Islands High School. Kind of introduced himself and then talked about and then invited them. And they called us both up because they know me. And then I brought the big poster up and was showing it to them. But and this new show, the Coastal Critters, we have words of the day instead of, again, kind of like a Sesame Street thing with like the number of the day, or brought to you by the letter E.
Today's word is
So this one is called mindset, attitude, and consistency are the 3 words of the day that we did. Now the one we're shooting is a pilot, so we might break these down to like one word of the day. Remember when you used to watch Pee-wee's Playhouse too? I think if you said a word and everything, right? It was like this word. So I've kind of borrowed.
Thanks, Pee-wee.
By demonstration of other folks that have been on PBS and doing these educational programming on how we're going to instill today's modern day of it. And family, because people that grew up that are my age are going to feel that nostalgia effect and gravitate toward it as well, and then find these hidden meanings that are inside of this show that are going to speak to both the kids and the parents. And we have puppets and everything,
Yeah, I can't wait to see a full episode. We got a full episode? I want to see it.
You can't see it. You could see it.
Yeah, I understand.
But you can't see it until the 6th of February when we premiere. But we are going to make a little trailer, and we're going to go all out like the movie, like this fall, coming soon to a theater near you. Coastal Critters, the coolest family educational show.
Coastal Critters.
Right, right. So, yeah, we hyping it up real big like that. We promoted it. But anyway, so the first word is mindset, and that was the word. And attitude. You got to have the right attitude, right?
Well, let's go back to mindset. What does mindset mean to you? Because that's a word that could mean a lot of things to a lot of people.
That's good, Scott. I think you're transitioning that way, because next week we're going to have my friend Danny, my coach. Yeah. Who's here, the bodybuilder.
He's great.
And talk about mindset, because I think the mind is important. Subconscious thinking. Listening to books when I was an exterminator, and you're either fragile mind, fractured mind, and your mindset is important. How you view things, the lens that you look through. Are you weak-minded? Do you let your thoughts take over you? The thoughts that you have in your brain, are they positive or are they negative? So you only see the negative. So a strong mindset. And sometimes, I could be strong-minded and maybe a little less empathetic because I'm so gung-ho. Navy SEAL mindset, right? What do Navy SEALs do when they start shooting at them? They shoot back.
Right.
They don't start, oh my God, they're shooting at us. I can't believe this is going on. What are we going to know? They pap, 2 shots. You go, pap. Like they have a strategy that they stick to.
That's right.
And they've trained their brain so that they don't panic when the gunshots come out. Their mindset is like, oh, we're ready. We're prepared for this. Right. We take action. So is your mindset like a Navy SEAL? Or, and I'm not trying to compare it because I no way, shape, or form that type of vigorous training. But as far as your capacity, your thinking, your mindset is important, man.
Yeah.
What you set your mind to, if you were to break that word down, mindset, whatever I set my mind to. And I believe Napoleon Hill said that the mind is a magical thing, right? What the man thinks is very important. You know, I'm using his voice. Listen to him, right? Think and Grow Rich. And these are old videos and stuff. And he talks about Andrew Carnegie and stuff like that when he was out following these guys around and documenting it, man. And he's, you know, what the mind believes it can achieve. So if you set your mind on achievable tasks and believe in yourself and your faith and your abilities and finding other teachers to teach you that mindset versus setting it on poop. What does it say? Those thoughts, you know, those kind of thoughts.
Yes.
There you go. That's
okay.
mindset.
All right. Very good. And then attitude, I think you covered well. You have to have the right attitude.
Attitude and gratitude, man.
Consistency.
And here's what's important, though. Let's jump back up because I think the attitude, when you love what you do and you do what you love, your attitude is going to be that way. You might have a bad attitude going to a job that only pays your bills because you're not getting a fulfillment. But but that's where you learn the attitude. I'm grateful for this job. You know, it pays my bills. It puts food on my table. I get vacation. I got Kaiser benefits for my children. So I'm grateful the same way. Even though it might be distraught because of the bureaucracy of a business, is really you're just a number 158777300. You know who that is? That's what I used to use to get my gas in the truck. But you know, and then you have corporate that just knows you as a number. But I'm still very grateful. My attitude to all my customers to make sure they get the best service because of my mindset, that I don't let it trickle into them because of what could be going on in the politics of a company that big, right? I'm still grateful. My attitude is great. Management might not see things my way or the way that things come down from the stakeholders and the people that are far away. That doesn't affect my attitude because I'm very grateful and thankful that I'm still able to provide for my family. I applied for that job. They didn't come ask me for it. We sat down and negotiated an agreement I agreed to, right? So you can't curse your blessings either, right? So your attitude is that now. But imagine if you were to do the things that you love to do on top of that, you might have a greater attitude. But if you can't find a gracious attitude in the little things, you know, your mindset, you might just be miserable. So again, that bright attitude is going to fix that mindset, right? My attitude, look, I got this sucks, and I'm sinister, wop, you know, and then so now your mindset's all like that. It follows, right?
That's true. All right, so consistency seems pretty obvious. Is it as obvious as it sounds?
Nothing that beats consistency, bro. There is no magic pill nowhere, man. It's hard work and consistency, right?
If you do it right once, you want to do it right again. If you do it wrong,
or even if you do it wrong, at least if you're consistent, you're going to figure it out, and that's the fishing part.
That's exactly right.
So when we fish with this fishing reel that was here on the floor too,
I had to move some stuff to make room for us. So
that's my good kneecap.
I may have hidden it.
Let's say this one right here. That's tangled up, but we have these. These bait casters and stuff, right? Little Kevin's reel. I probably covered it with a gym bag. Yeah, there it is.
Wasn't me.
Everybody should have fishing poles and gym bags in their office. So this one right here, right? This is a bait caster or conventional, right? And you flip it open and you cast. Well, you get this thing called a bird's nest that's in there, right? And kind of consistency. Also, I think we have reps on there, 2 doors down. Everybody gets a bird's nest at the beginning. And you got to figure out how to pull that out and you get that out, right? Or confidence, right? That's a consistency. Confidence is one of those. These all flow together because if you get a bird nest and you're just throwing it down and you're like, I'm not going to fish. So as a deckhand, you walk over and I tell, you know, there's a button here that you could tighten it up a little bit so it doesn't come off the spool quite as fast. So that way when they're dropping it down, the rent rodders and stuff, and it happens like, oh my God, I got it tangled. It's okay. Don't panic. Let me show you how to pull that out. By 10 a.m., you're going to be a professional. So they got 3 or 4 backlashes, right? But consistently learning how to get the backlash out and to drop this line down, by the end of the day, you're just opening it up, dropping it straight to the bottom of the ocean, hooking a couple rockfish, or bringing it back up, right? But the first time, it can be a little overwhelming.
Sure.
So, but if you don't stay consistent and try, if you just throw this down and don't give it another try, don't give it any, is effort on that one? Yeah, effort, right? There's no effort, right? And consistency. I know these words like, they're my favorite. But again, that's the point. It could either overwhelm you or through consistency. And again, this is just why, again, you teach a man to fish versus giving him a fish. If we teach you how to use this and you're consistent, you're going to do it. And that goes through everything, man. Your relationships, if you're dating, you're married, things, right? If you don't show up, like you talked about your wife. Imagine if you only told her I loved you once in a while. Or you only did something nice once in a while. Or vice versa. Do you have to show consistency?
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that makes it genuine. It makes it personable. It makes it real.
You heard the man. Oh, speaking of real, did you see this? My thing broke. It says keeping it real, and I broke it. Look at this little... I I don't know if I can pick it up, but look, it says keep it real, but it broke. Keep it real, Scotty.
So now you keep it glued.
Yeah, I got to keep it glued. But even if it falls apart, baby, you can put it right back together. You know what I'm saying?
It'll be fine. If you don't
keep it real.
If you stop dropping it, it'll be fine.
Drop it like it's hot.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
All right.
But again, so that's consistency, man. Anything that you want. That's why I'm saying things that you love to do. Like my daughter's learning to bake right now. Not learning, but because her coffee business. So she might burn one or two, right? And the bread she made didn't have a lot of flavor. So she has to go back and fix the recipe and keep trying. But if she was to give up after her first dozen, she'd be done. And then you say, oh my God, this food tastes so good. And you're like, yeah, well, I've been perfecting this recipe. That's why it tastes so good, because I was consistent. I was in the kitchen every day for the last 30 days, to perfect this, right? I was consistent. I didn't just dabble, which some people do. And that's fine too. But if you want to be successful, you got to stay consistent. Look at Adam, right? Adam Casillas, a friend of ours. Consistency, always having his, he has his meetings, he has his expos, he has his 3 minor expos, mini expos up to it, but there's a consistency on what he does to make sure that the thing's successful every year for 20 years.
And it's made him well known and it made him well respected. That counts for a lot. So the next on the list,
this is the one that got
compromise.
Me.
This is a good one.
That got Kev right here. Because I started looking at, what do I compromise, man? Is it my faith or, again, my own consistency on certain things? So when I was teaching these to the kids, and the kids were reading them back when they would graduate, I remember Will, he's about 11, and he said, man, and one of the best things I learned, was the words, and he said mindset and consistent. I was like, that's right. But that's probably a good part about teaching and being in leadership, is that you could see if you hold yourself, because we talk about this, right? And I really, this is where it hit me, because I could badmouth another leader that doesn't follow their, holding, like, again, when we say pastor, there's a mission on the wall, and do we follow it, or do they move it around to fit whatever's best for corporate or whatever's best for it to hit our numbers, right? And if we're really going to compromise our mission statement, and I'm the leader, I got to hold myself to a standard that I'm holding these kids to. So it kind of really made some of these words, and again, stepped out at me to be like, are you sure you're all in on certain things, Kev? And there's a gut check, because again, what do you compromise, especially a nonprofit, and listening to my buddy Nipsey that's up here, right? And he talks about, like, so fast to take a check, because you might compromise what you want to do to get paid, and then trying to wiggle your way out of it.
And that falls down there to protect your brand.
Right, protect your brand. So again, be careful what you compromise on, right? Especially a nonprofit. We just got off the phone. We're going to go to the SHOT Show in Vegas, right? And if you live in Southern California, guns, we look at guns out here a certain way, but as we're watching these hunting channels, other states, they have them for protection and hunting. Where Southern California could be like more, how dangerous guns are, but that's not the whole country, right? Where we live at. And again, if we start highlighting gun safety, is that going to compromise some of the folks that, might want to support us because of where we live at? And we don't ever want to let that, you either agree with what we're doing in safety and family and education, or you don't. But if that's a topic that you don't like, whether it's political or whatever, that's not going to compromise your intention and your idea, right? You can stay as pure to who you are without compromising your belief system to gratify your supporter or your funding, right? Are you molding or bending what you believe in? So
you got to know how much to compromise and where to compromise, and that's
right.
Essential.
Now that goes back again. Let's jump up into consistency, right? Because fellas out there, going through it, sometimes we could look at compromising our pride and our ego. We getting deep in here, Scotty. Be preaching. We're gonna share this one on the one. But you can feel like we compromise, man, our manhood, or we're compromising our ego, man, and our masculinity, in a way that's tough. That could also hurt too, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, if I do this, I'm a punk, I'm a sucker. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, well, maybe that's a little bit more maturity that you're trying to grow from, and it's not really you're compromising, right? And I had that issue straight out, right? Am I a sweetheart or am I a sucker? And it's like I felt like I was compromising that, but it's like, no, that's because your mindset is thinking that you this super player back in the day, right? And to fix your mindset, again, I read a book called The Body Keeps Score. So sometimes to rewire your brain, that also takes consistency to get out of that kind of stinking thinking, so that you can rewire that mindset to see things from a way where you're not compromising, you're actually maturing and growing, man. If I want a relationship like Scotty and he loves his wife, man, then some of the things that I think, like, I ain't changing for this girl, I ain't doing none of that, right? And it's like, yeah, but maybe she might be compromising some of her
Sure.
belief systems so that we guys could get together, right, and make it work. And how do you do that?
That's why it's called a compromise, because there's two sides.
That one's going to come down to communication at the bottom of the list.
Very important there, yeah. And that's very interesting how these words all fit together, isn't it?
Yeah.
One
This
leads
is
to another
philosophy, baby. This is philosophy. Jim Ron, this is philosophy, bro. You know?
Now, I don't get the next one, marinate, because this is talking about...
marinate. That
I know
means
somebody who marinates with Fireball whiskey, everything. Is that what you're talking about?
Does it give a flavor?
It does.
Right. So sometimes to get flavor on something, it also marinate means it could take a while, right? If you want a tri-tip or you want a steak to sit in teriyaki and marinate all day to get that by the end of the day. So don't be in such a rush, man. Don't be in such a hurry. You know what I mean? Things got to marinate. You might, especially in partnerships and development, you gotta work. We just got off the thing, and you heard the speaker that called the Shot Show, right? We've been working with Pursuit Network for almost a decade, right? And here we are. We got 7 episodes going up, man. 7. You know, we played the first one again. Mindset. I had Fred Clenshaw's fishing. Me and Kevin Jr. We played that episode 6 times in a row. That's all we can afford. I couldn't afford closed captioning for any other episodes. It was like $1.25. So I had to, but as you saw, it was finally on TV.
Yeah.
But one episode that played on a loop for 6 weeks. And here we are now. We got 7 episodes. We got 2 quarters that we've already paid for. Right, because we stuck to the script and that marinating. And then you have somebody like Daiwa or Channel Island Sport Fishing that helps us because we've cultivated these relationships of, again, they know who we are, right? They're like, hey, these guys have dignity and they have character, and I'd love to support them. But at the beginning, again, it might take a minute to get your toe in the door, right? So you got to marinate it and not look like, they ain't helping, they ain't hurting, and you ain't with me, then you ain't riding with me, and I've had all these thoughts, people. I'm telling you from experience, right? Well, yeah, maybe the email that I send to Steve at Promar, he's got 45 other emails that came through, and some might be for sales, and I'm thinking like, dude, just ignore me, where he's not. The priority don't really get to the top of his priority yet, because I'm still down here trying to work my way up to being a super priority, right? But if you let your mindset start to get that stinking thinking or start overthinking, and that's another term for marinate we learned in church, is don't let your brain marinate on the wrong things. You could put together your own scenario, right? Where he don't like me, right? Because now your brain's marinating in some bad thoughts, man.
It's like David Huey used to say, don't tell yourself an ugly story.
Right.
Don't do it.
Right. So don't make sure what your brain is marinating on too ain't stuff that it's something you came up with on your own. And again, me just bring in the spiritual thing, man. So I've been going more to my little scripture, because there are things to help you combat these. Not a pill or a diagnosis, but how do you talk to your brain to be like, nah, I'm just tripping right now. Let me just stop, unplug, because I'm picking, I'm just picking at it, you know what I'm saying? And so so marinate, and I just got this one recently, that second version, but marinate means it's going to take a little bit of time.
That's good.
For us to get here, right? It took us 7 years to get to where we're at, because again, we didn't want to compromise. We had to come up with our own funding. We kept the right attitude. We were consistent, and that also helped people saying, hey, this kid ain't going nowhere. Let's support him. Dial it, right? Got a whole stack of Diowas right here, because we were consistent and we showed up and got to the because what happens too with that is that's when people start introducing you to other people, right? You go to the summit. Somebody's like, have you met Kevin yet? Oh, let me go walk you over here to meet Kevin, right? Because they see your consistency in your work. You got to have in our database. Every week we're sending out a newsletter consistently showing you the work that we're doing. Right? Just sometimes, right? We have a strategic plan that we stick to, that we come together and staying consistent. So marinating consistency, it'll pay off.
And that's what they want from you at the SHOT Show. They want you to go up there, they want you to meet some people, and they want you to consider...
See that? They're like, why don't you come out to another show, Kev?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I could fly in for the night, network all day, collect cards, hand out cards, and then I got to fly back because I got another... But that's kind of cool, too. I just said, Unique, my assistant, hey, can you check me out and get me a plane from Santa Barbara to... This is whether it's going to... If it pays off, it's going to go. Me and Kevin Jr. will go up and we'll teach at Carpenter Inn Middle School that Wednesday. I'll stay in Santa Barbara, catch a flight to Vegas.
Yep.
Meet up with Charles and them, stay there, dominate, you heard me, dominate the show all day Thursday, fly back Thursday night to be at Leadership Academy on Friday.
It's a busy week, but you get a lot done, right?
That's how I roll, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I really love to do it. And again, that's it. So we got reps next. Keep on, Scotty.
Okay,
we
now
got a few more
reps checks in with consistency. So a little bit to that. What's the difference between those two?
Just about the same, right? Reps, I think, means how many times it takes.
Okay.
Right? So again, if you get a backlash, right? You fishing and learning, and I learned how to cast like that. I threw out a little sinker and I got backlash and I pulled it out, right? The repetitions of that, right? Consistency means now how often do you do it, right? So the reps are the figuring it out and then how consistent you stay, right? So again, getting my first, second, or third, or fourth newsletter, I'm getting the reps in on how to it. And also, I heard Dan Patrick say this. Let's say you throw he was talking about Jason Witten on Monday Night Football. And he went from the locker room to Monday night to the booth. No reps. He didn't get any reps, like just sideline reporting. He didn't, like, I guess it's knowing where you're at, being real with yourself. I am not ready to handle that weight, right? Me and Kevin Jr. lift weights. The repetitions that I got to get in to get, look at that. Look at the size of that 17-inch arm right there, right? There's amount of repetitions, right? But if I only did 12 reps once a week, that's not enough. I got to be consistent, or once a year or every so often, right? You got to stay consistent.
Right.
And you get the reps because, again, you might not have the muscle maturity to handle. People say, I want to work out with you, Kev. No, you do not. You might want to come to the gym with me, but you do not want to work out with me yet because I will sink you. I remember little Kevin Jr. Love that dude, man. We went to the gym, and the first time he hit every exercise with me at his weight, I was like, you want to go to the gym? He's like, I feel like I got hit by a bus, because his commitment is there.
Right.
But realistically, what he got himself in on a big dog workout, which he is, right? Now he's sitting 225 because he stayed consistent and he's lifting.
That's right.
But day one, day two, you need those reps. So again, getting back to the Jason Witten thing, is that it's not fair to scrutinize him of not being a Monday night analyst when he hasn't really never been an analyst before. He knows football, so he knows that. But to get in there and be able to carry on a conversation with two other people in the booth, you need to get him some reps before you just throw him in. Right. Oh, you're a cowboy, you're great, football, get in there. And it's like, these guys have a chemistry that they've been putting together by working side by side.
It's a different job. It's a different job. Yeah.
So that's what you're saying. It's kind of unfair to scrutinize him because he hadn't got the reps.
Understood.
Because I think they pulled him after the first season.
Yeah.
And listen to this, right? So here's what we steal from greatness, right? When me and Scotty did our podcast at the show, I listened to Jim Rome and how they did Super Bowl. So putting that into perspective, like the moves that we make, I think about other greats and demonstrations.
Absolutely,
that they
you
put
have
out.
to. You should.
So when we did it, here, Scotty, I seen a version done this way we're going to do it. But I listened to these guys, Jim Rome and Dan Patrick, and I look at, again, their resume and their history, right? ESPN, where they started. Jim Rome started at midnight on UCSB to be all over everywhere he's at right now, right? And again, he had to get those reps in, and he's willing to start at midnight. And Dan Patrick said, I used to sleep on the floor at ESPN so that way we could do Sports Center when it first started on television, have a 24-hour TV show that was built on sports and live, right? So they had to, position, but they got their reps in and learning how to do it so that where they're at now at this level. Again, don't forget those first couple years that they had to get the reps in to get there.
Right, and that's all part of it. It's all part of it for sure. Curiosity, I think we can solve with just one phrase, and it's a phrase that I always love. It's try to learn something new every day.
Yeah, curious, like give it a try.
I love that.
Well, also because it's never been done before. Don't mean you can't do it.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
No, we've always done it this way, and this is the way it's always going to be done. You're going to burn out that way, especially right now, like with nonprofit, knowing that it's a business versus a, just a charitable sector of you have the private sector, the open sector, and then you have the charitable sector. Those are the sectors of business, right? But it's still a business. And no, we've always done it this way. We have these luncheons where we pass around and get a rubber chicken, and everybody throws a couple dollars in the hat. That's not fundraising anymore, right? You have monthly donors, or people are tired of that, right? They want to get behind a cause, or they wore that out, right? And we can't do it this way. It's always been done, and we got to go in there and do it this way. And it's like anything that you do, you gotta reverse engineer it. You gotta be curious, and that's part of the artistic side of it that you don't want it. Because again, if you compromise and sell yourself out, your brand, you might not be able to be as curious because somebody's going to tell you how to do it, right? Think about artists, musicians, right? That's where you get it from. Okay, like I know you're a rapper and you rap about this, but if you want to work on this label, I need you to release music like that. If you hear like Eminem stuff, when they want, they want to rap about pills and getting loaded, and he's like, I don't want to rap about that. Well, you have a contract with us, and we want you to produce this kind of music. So again, you compromise your artistic self because you took the bag too soon, and now you sold yourself to the devil.
You have to do what they say because they're paying you.
Preaching. Yeah, you want to say yourself.
Also, it reminds me of there's a magician duo, Penn and Teller. I'm sure you know Penn and Teller. And
you think Duke can really talk?
Oh, and I know it. I've met him.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, they this is how they come up with their tricks. They say, wouldn't it be cool, for example, if we stood on opposite sides of the stage, shot a .44 Magnum at each other, and one of us caught it in their teeth? And then, they have no idea how to do this. So they take that and they're going to do that. And so they back engineer it into the thing so they can make it work.
Right.
So that's what they do. They pick something impossible. Then they say, how do we make it possible?
Yeah.
And that's kind of
what does our slogan say? Nothing's impossible.
Nothing's impossible.
Right.
That's one of the many slogans. So.
Right. It is, right? Yeah. But that's the point, right? They took it and said, okay, how do we do this, right?
Right.
And their
And
mindset
they
was
make
like,
it
and their
happen.
mindset said, we could probably do this.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they do it. And then they do it. Next on the list is a procedure. Tell us about procedure.
So procedure is something that is more, it has been added more this year because of the fact that when I was a solopreneur, I did everything just on the go, right? But for me to pass along and delegate responsibility, there has to be a procedure. You know what I'm saying? We do it this way for that reason, right? The procedure is this.
Right. This is what's worked.
And,
We're going to continue to do
standing
with
operating
this.
procedures. If you don't have any procedures in place, some type of way of an outline, and I used to, I would have one mentally, and this is how I run things. This is a procedure. But as I started training more people, I needed to make sure I took it out of my brain and wrote it down, and then make sure they understand the procedure for the brand, right? To be like, the reason you're doing this, and also explaining it to them, right? Because then I could go back and look to say, you know, it's almost like same with, again, if we use pest control, right? There's a procedure. You make your pre-calls and your phone calls.
Right.
And then when they check your phone to say, hey, did you make your pre-calls last night? And you look and you're like, why aren't there no numbers at 8 o'clock last night, Kev? Oh, it was Sunday and I just didn't want to call people, right? And then you're like, well, you didn't follow the procedure, man. And there's a reason that, because if you show up and the gate's locked and you got to call management and be like, hey, the gate was locked. Well, yeah, did you call last night?
Did you call? Yeah.
Right? Or something like that, right? You'll find yourself, if you don't follow the right procedure, man. And that can be in life, bro. Like, again, some of this is business, and there's just certain parts of the life that you got to stick to, man. It's just a procedure. You know, how you conduct oneself. There's a procedure. So some of these are life and business, but they tie in against philosophy that if there's a procedure, a method to the madness, you know, on how it goes down. And then you could be developing those as you go. This is a better procedure to do it this way.
It has to be.
Right? Same with this fishing reel, right? The procedure, if I just open this bell and I let it drop down and it tangles up, because the procedure is put your thumb on the spool, then open it, right? Missing one little part of that procedure. So when I teach the kids, step 1, hold the line. Step 2, open it up. Step 3, cast. And then the weight swings and goes back and forth. Like, which one of those procedures didn't we hit?
Right.
I didn't let go. I didn't flip the bell. Okay, let's just go through that procedure.
Let's go through the procedures again.
Right.
Yeah.
And then here's another one. In our dot to dots, right? Imagine if you go from 1 to 4 to 9 to 12 to 8. What are you going to show up with?
Then nothing.
It's not going to look right.
No.
Right? So you gotta
and
then in business too, don't jump ahead. Oh, I'm worrying about this part over here. I mean, you on step 2. Why are you at step 8? It's almost like trust the process. So there's procedure can mean a couple of things is following the procedure. Some of it you're gonna learn a procedure and figure out what works best. And then sometimes it's cool when I walked into business to say, I don't know any of this new aspect I need to grow in. Can you teach me a procedure? Save me a lot of headache by going in there and saying, hey, I'm not good at this section. Can you help me? And you have like small business development center that helps you and say, okay, well, let's take you from 2 to 3. Let me hold your hand and take you from 2 to 3.
And vice versa, because you can teach them procedures too that they may not know.
Right.
And the thing about procedures is they're good for business, they're good for other things, but they're also good for safety. Safety procedures, you know, there's a reason that there's a procedure so you don't skip it and cut your thumb off or something.
Right. Or fall off a scaffolding and you forget, right?
Oh,
OSHA certified, right? I missed one little step. I forgot to hook myself to this thing right here,
and that's it.
And I fell to my demise.
And you're very injured.
So you never know when one of those little steps. And it might sound it. And now that I'm a manager and dealing with people, I could hear my manager saying it, where I would skip past a procedure and I go, this food, no better. I'm the pro, because that was my pride and ego. Where it's like, no, if you had an honest conversation with yourself, you didn't follow procedure. And then what is that? There's those movies, right? Again, the Navy SEAL. You didn't follow procedure.
Right.
You got to get somebody killed out here. You don't get somebody killed because you decided to go. What is the term that they call it? Go rogue, right? You didn't follow procedure.
Yeah.
So, and then the last one, imagine if you go to the doctor and he does the wrong procedure.
That would be bad.
Took the wrong eyeball, took the wrong testicle, something, who knows, right?
Yeah, that would be bad. So, didn't think about that one, but that's true.
Getting a procedure done today.
All right, we talked about protect your brand. We talked about confidence. Procrastination.
Just like not waiting.
Do too many people do that, do you think? I think that's a real
probably
problem.
the number one.
After
fear and the reason you're procrastinating because you're scared.
Yeah.
You're afraid. You're fearful. I'm gonna get to that one day, you know. And that's why it's important that you write these things down, right? Because that way you can do and sell. Look, Scotty, how many things over there written down? Layers and pages of doodles, right? My goals and my list, right? Pinned to the wall. You guys can't see them, but they're over there. Trust me. You know, writing it down
all over them.
That way, and then it's interesting, right? Because here's my church notes right here. So I write them down. So if I'm consistent and I type these up that I wrote, I have another time to go back and what I've learned, and then I can put application. So if you take it and you log it and then you get it, then that way in 6 months, you could go back and be like, yeah, I wasn't consistent. I stayed this way. And I learned that too as a personal trainer, is that when we start to do a self-inventory, we could figure out where the problem lies.
Right.
Is it my instruction? Is it the procedure I laid out for you? Or is it your procrastination? You didn't show up and get the job done, right? You came twice a week and you didn't stick to your, you just kept waiting and putting it off. So
I used to work for a television producer, and he would had a handwritten list that he brought in every day, and those are the things he wanted done that day. He didn't want to wait till the next day. He didn't want to procrastinate. Right. He wanted them done that day, and because of that, he was a very wealthy man. Right. So worked for him.
It's similar, like, again, our pest control, right? There's a planner, right, that says, okay, you can get 12, or, sometimes, again, there's a realistic, and then there's a truth. Like, don't give me 18 qualities. It ain't going to work. No. But if they plan that way, by the end of the month we should be done. Now you might have wore everybody out because you were turning the temperature up, but there's still some type of planning that's in that.
That's true.
And if you fail to plan
and some of that overbooked days were because they knew somebody wouldn't show up for their service and they were trying to make up for it. The problem was when everybody showed up for their service and you had 2 extra services you didn't have time for.
Yeah. So that's the other part, right? Playing too cautious.
Yeah. Right?
Like, too cautious. Let's overplan for just in case. And it's like, no, you're just creating more work for yourself.
Right.
Be realistic.
Exactly.
That's the term we're using in the pest control, right? Be a realistic expectation. So why don't you think about that when you put my schedule together?
Yeah. Because they don't want realistic, they want sold. Effort, we talked a little bit about.
Oh, man, effort is something that you could control, man. Not everybody can control the effort but you. That's one thing you can control. Again, your mindset and your effort, right? You knew if we put in effort. You knew if you were consistent. You knew the effort. Effort doesn't cost you anything, man. Again, tell your wife I love you. What does that cost you?
It's nothing.
Nothing, right? But the effort behind it, it lasts a long time, right? Somebody that puts effort. And something that's important too. Like, you can see somebody, because if I see you're giving effort in trying, maybe just need to modify a thing
counts
or two,
for something.
Right?
Yeah, but
effort, you can see it wasn't for lack of effort, right?
Right.
Like you said, I gave you E for effort.
Yeah.
A for effort, because effort is what you control.
Effort.
Yeah, and if you don't give any effort, it's going to show up too, right? You're like your kids, right? Hey, can you get your chores done? And like, slope down and lean over, like there's an ounce of effort in that mug, man. They're upset. And it's like, again, that goes to your attitude, right? Your attitude and your effort are going to line up the way you look at things, but you're control your effort. And if you didn't give any effort, what do you expect to get from nothing?
Yeah, exactly. It's good. There's no payoff for that.
There's a video that we watch from Ray Lewis called Effort, and we play it with when they come in, we play, the first week that they come in, we play that song, and he's like, effort. He talks about, effort would get him seen on the field because the tape don't lie.
Is that on YouTube or something that people can watch?
Effort
I'll
by
see if I
Ray
can
Lewis.
find that and I'll link to it.
Effort. And he talks about, I could control that. Like, I wasn't the #1 scout. So you can tell how many greats I study. I love studying demonstration and greats. And he said that, right? I knew that film would show. And if I showed up every day and worked my butt off, effort would show on tape. And and look where he's at, one of the best, because he made a commitment to himself that I could control my effort every day. I ain't gonna go out and party, I'm gonna do all this wrong stuff. I'm gonna show up every day, hit as hard as I can, and that's gonna show up, and that'll get me noticed.
And it did.
He's like, I wasn't the biggest, I wasn't even the fastest. I can put down a word for word. Wasn't the biggest, wasn't the fastest. I wasn't the #1 recruit, but I knew the effort is all that I control every day. Effort. And that's his little, because he's from the South, so he has that little Florida twang that I'm borrowing. And I'd say about number 52.
I'll try to find that link to that so we can get
Hall of Famer. If a Hall of Famer says it,
then it's.
I mean, you might just want to just take a little shh.
Yeah, it's worth noting if nothing.
And if you're listening, a little shh would take a little note, right? Yeah, put a pin in it. Okay. And if you saw about 7 or 8 greats and you look at their philosophy, you're gonna see a lot of this here.
That's true,
man. Ain't no secret. That's why the movie they called The Secret, right? Or Napoleon Hill's. And even Napoleon Hill, when he talks about it, Think and Grow Rich, it is the subconscious mind. When you finally get a point that I could do this in every chapter, that was it.
Very good. All right, so next one, communication. We've talked to death.
I think let's jump on that, though, man. I think communication is key.
More to say about communication.
Yeah, because I think that you can get lost in translation, like a text or an email. The importance of picking up a phone call. I have staff and board members that will email back and forth and wait. And again, we could get everything out if we communicated, or in a relationship, right? Hey, this is how I'm feeling. That's how you're feeling. I felt like you might have disrespected me, or this happened, right? If we had communication, some real communication, not all hot-headed or whatever, but some real clear communication in any relationship, man, is important. Communicate to your team. We're doing this because it's going to equal this, right? You're not in the blind like Kevin's got me emailing. And no, let me communicate to you why the importance of your task is important to the brand.
That's very important.
And this is important. So there's a reel up there that I have.
That's inner company.
Grab that reel, but next to the globe.
What am I looking?
The globe. There's a little handrail next to under the lottery ticket, right there. Yep. So bring that on over here real quick, okay? So whenever we hire these interns, if you're looking at this, you see this little reel right here? See how all those gears are working together and how smooth it is? So this is the inside of this, right? Now, again, if I could communicate to our staff that we're all here together, working together. So this is our research department. Here's our grant writer. Here's our, our fishermen out on the pier, Uncle Dave and Vic and them, right? And we're all working together. But if you don't communicate your job on the team, again, it's communication, right? You get into a huddle. Here's some more analogies. Now communicate the play we're going to ride. Right body, student body, right? It's like when you sweep right and hand the ball off. All your players got to know where to be at to get those blocks in. But if we just went out on the field and we're like, all right, hike, and everybody's like, well, dang, where am I running? Where am I supposed to be at? Yeah. You didn't communicate. And then what do? The coach communicates to him through the headpiece. He gets in the huddle. They know where to line up, and then they go out there and they usually score, or they don't, right? Because your effort is going to dictate whether or not you're going to make the play. If Ray Lewis is going to stop, you're going to get past him. But the communication is so important, man. And again, and that's in business, that's in life, that's in domestic situations, and then also having a clear communication because, oh, I thought you meant this. I took it that way. I don't want to talk to you. I'm angry because I misinterpreted it this way. So using your words and communication is important. The same again, pest control. You communicate with that customer prior to getting out there. Your gate's probably going to be unlocked and know that you're coming, right?
Right.
Communication. Hey, I took care of your stuff today. I knocked it out. If I didn't put anything in the notes, right, how would I communicate that you pay me $110 a month was worth the value?
Right.
Because I communicated that I took care of these issues.
All they know is you showed up. Right. What did you do?
Right.
You put that, you communicate.
So if you don't communicate, so that's why I hear Eddie's why we should call. Maybe not call and text and email and all that. They didn't need that much communication. Is overwhelming, but communication is key, man. Clear communication.
Yeah. And it's not just communication within the Guppy community, for example, but with the customers of the Guppies as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's something we're working on lately now that we have Unique here working, is we have a database network for good that we can communicate and send out surveys. And we got some great surveys back yesterday. Kevin and his team and mentors and helping out. And I never fished before, but we're able to communicate with our participants via our database too. Beautiful. And keep in contact with them and communicate. Hey, we have a kid fishing day this week. Communication. Send that out in a text message. We do have modern ways, but human communication is so important too. Let's not get away from it. So there are ways to communicate, but I think clear communication is
essential. It's absolutely essential. All right, the next one on the list I think is one of the things he's got in bundles, and that's boldness.
Boldness.
That's one thing I've always admired about Kevin.
I convinced myself, why not me? And being bold. Now, as I'm growing and maturing, sometimes you could be like, there's a boldness and there's a bulliness, and making sure you don't get the two twisted.
Sure.
That makes sense, right?
It does.
Being bold versus being like cocky and arrogant, or being, bully or demanding, right? Versus bold, meaning why not me? Let's give this a try. And why not again? But what boldness also goes to is confidence. If you're confident, you're more likely to be bold.
I agree.
And you need boldness, man, especially men. Like, we need to be bold. But again, if we feel like we're compromising that in any way, we might look at that as a weakness, man. And that's why communication is important, right? Especially where we come from, the inner city and whatnot. Anybody feels like they've got any type of disrespect, being bold could mean like, no, this guy ain't going to talk to me that way. Or this manager ain't going to tell me this. You ain't going to chastise me. And feel like, it's like, bro, that's not the way it was, right? So again, just thinking about boldness and being like, I could do this, right? A belief system of being bold, It's interesting because again in church, they talk about being bold and sharing your faith with people, right? And it's like people are afraid to tell people I believe in Jesus or to pray or to do something. Like, they're afraid of them because where does that come from? Lack of confidence in the biggest, mightiest God that we proclaim as our God. So why would you be fearless, right? Fearless and bold. And then in Ipsy again, talking about boldness, like. And again, this isn't the way I'm saying it is what he's talking about. There's a boldness when you are growing up in the streets, of when somebody does approach you and hit you up, are you bold enough to say where you from? He says, I chalk my hood up in their face, or do you step back and bite your lip? And again, what he's saying, again, in this metaphor is, are you as bold as you are, or are you just all talk and you don't really mean it, right? So there is a boldness that you have to stand your ground on what you believe in too. Again, I can't compromise. I'm bold. And I'm thinking that if you don't support us in this area because of the things that we might think or say or how I conduct myself, I'm bold enough to be like, okay, again, I'm not going to compromise. So there's a boldness of belief, fearfulness, confidence that goes into being bold without looking at it from the other side. Because I've been accused of that too, of you're cocky, or you're what you're doing and the way you walk around and you conduct yourself. But it's like, yeah, but I built that up. I used to feel weak and inferior. Right? So how do you balance one or the other? How does the pendulum switch from overcompensation versus boldness to me? I believe in what I'm doing. This is righteousness, and I'm going to do it whether,
And sometimes bold people bump heads. And you may be talking to somebody who's as bold as you are, nearly as bold as you are, and you're going to bump heads. And that's where that maybe neither one of you is a bully, but they both think that way because they're bumping heads, and we go back to compromise and try to see what we can do there.
Communication.
Or just clear communication. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you look at somebody two-man, and you look at a 9 and a 6, right? You're standing at a 9, I'm standing at a 6, right? And you're like, hey, this is a 6. And I'm like, hey, dummy, it's a 9. Well, I ain't communicating right. Let me go over there and see what your 6 is about. Oh, I do see how you see it that way.
Yeah.
Right? So being bold, too. Like, if you have two people that are bumping heads, again, where's the root of that?
Yeah.
And being mature to be
and
like,
you can communicate that out.
Or just don't get along. And you can both be wrong, but you don't take away with that sore feeling or some type of way. You know what I mean?
Right. And there's ways to interact, and sometimes there's not, and that's okay too. Righteousness, tell us what that means to you.
And that was another one too that hit, man. Just like, is what I'm doing righteousness, and having a certain like an ethical value to it, am I being righteous in this situation right here? Is everybody winning, right? And I like to think I am. And
is that what righteousness means to you?
It depends, because you have like self-righteousness. Again, we brought this up in one of our little me and Marshall here one day, because again, in nonprofit, people be like, well, what are you spending your money on? Like, they want to know everything that you're doing, right?
Sure.
Because maybe charities have overextended what they're doing with their funding. And if you don't believe that we're doing it out of righteousness in our heart right here, that's what the Guppies is about, then you shouldn't work here anyway, right? If you're looking through my bank statements to make sure I got a big screen TV and I'm using the money in other areas because maybe that happened, right? We're going to come from righteousness. We're servants, right? We're out here helping on the community, but not a self-righteousness, you know what I mean? Holier than thou type of relationship. And some of these terms come in because I could see how, again, working within the confines of some of the church is how some of that stuff can make people feel now, why they don't want to come and visit us at the church, because they feel like we're self-righteous in the way we are and we're judgmental, right? So I try to look at it from that way as an individual, and how we conduct ourselves as again, think about that when as an exterminator, right? They leave their gate unlocked. Are you going to go out there and you're going to give the services if that person was looking out the window?
Yeah.
Right? Or do you need somebody to look at you to make sure you're doing it right when they're not there? Doing it the right way when nobody's watching.
That's right. That's the phrase I was looking for. Do it the right way when
that's right there, right? Right.
It is.
Do it the right way. Righteousness, right? But not self-righteous. But also, it's really good to have a screen to be like, I'm about to make this move, or what am I doing, and am I doing that from that? Because our emotions, bro, will come up. You know what I'm saying? You could feel challenged. And it's like, how do I have a righteous mentality and be bold at the same time, right? Because I want to choke this person or whatever, right? And and say somebody cuts you off, right? And you're like, mother scooter, and flipping them off, and you're like, whoa, Lord, I'm not being righteous in the moment, right? So you get what I'm saying? Right, like, oh, how's this dude over here acting this way, but over here he's that way? And again, for myself, some of that stuff is personal and a way for us to continue to keep growing, man. Because if I'm telling these youngsters to follow these rules, right? I gotta do some self-inventory on myself.
Yeah. I got caught with road rage that way one time. I was following this lady.
Just once?
Just once. I got caught. Other times, I still got too much road rage. Right. But I was following this lady, and she was doing like 10 miles under the speed limit, and I was in a hurry, had somewhere to be, and I was late, so I was yelling and screaming and, throwing my arms around, and we both ended up going to the same place, and it was somebody I worked with, a little old lady I worked with, and I felt terrible. So where's that on the list here? How do you,
righteous? I don't know. I guess you just find another procedure next time, right?
There we go.
Maybe next time, and that's part of it too of correction, is like, maybe next time I won't handle that way.
Yeah, I won't go.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe next time I'll give a little bit more effort in making sure I can control my emotions and feelings, man. We're all people. So.
And that was a wake up call. It really was. All right, the last thing on the list, and I love this, and I'm gonna let you talk about this for a while. Why be basic?
We are not basic.
Why be basic?
Again, look, and let me give you one of our for instances. If you look at our blue carpet premiere, Scotty, I'll let you hold that up real quick before we close this out. Again, this is just kind of motivation. We just jumped to this one, winged it out. Look at, man, a blue carpet premiere. Peep this out, right? Why be basic, right? So we got
move Barry.
We have puppets, right? We have a new book. We have refreshments and paparazzi. We have a blue carpet. We have a backdrop, right? So it looks like a little mini Kane film festival. Why be basic? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we're going to show this. No, man, we got to try to be extravagant, have an extravagance to what it is that you believe in, and I just got 2 books from Emeril Lagasse for Christmas somebody gave me, and I remember him saying that to be big, you have to think big. And if you remember Emeril Lagasse on the Food Network, here I am again, dropping names of other greats by demonstration, plus he's Portuguese like me, and Portuguese ingenuity, and, but remember he had his own catch, bam, he would do that bam thing, and people would catch on to his thing, like, we got Let's Go, like, there's these extravagant, but I remember watching his documentary, I'm a documentary fanatic, and he's like, to be big, you got to think big, Why can't I have an extravagant restaurant that's, in Vegas and these other places, right?
Is there anything more true than that? If you want to be big, think big. I mean, it's just as clear as it can be, right?
Clear as day, as they say, And basically that's what he said. So again, why be basic? Like I say, last night, me and Joshua went in there and we had that up, holding it up. And look at it. And this is a poster. A poster that you would see when you go to the movie,
That's
right?
right.
And we're going to do a little trailer, just like a movie, right?
I can't wait for the trailer.
Why would some independent filmmakers go through all this stuff? Because I think I'm already as big as Netflix.
That's right.
In my brain,
He's
right?
our James Cameron.
Right. Pretty much. No, you know what it is? It's Kevin Henson. Like Jim Henson?
That's right.
Yeah, with our puppets. And he did Fraggle Rock and The Labyrinth. And he had these other shows. Because the next show is going to be the cooking show coming soon. The Real Grill.
Wait.
Real Grill. The Dizzle with the Sizzle. Yeah, they might show up on the set, right?
Awesome.
Yeah, show up on the set,
Yeah.
and be in there. And then you have these characters that do a crossover, right? You've seen Elmo. He was on Emerald Live, right? And Elmo popped up and he was talking to him. And
how many times those Muppets made guest appearances everywhere? Saturday Night Live, and their own specials.
So guess who's getting a little piece of that?
You?
No, Jim Henson, right? If you're using his little characters, you don't think that they got a couple of dollars?
Oh, yeah, he's getting paid.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
so he's finding a way to stream that revenue to think big, right? Like, my puppets will be on a cooking show one day, right? So I'm sure he's thinking extravagant and big. And even watching his documentary, his people are like, this man's crazy.
They're just puppets.
No, but he's got to be thinking like he's onto another idea.
That's right. And
he's crazy. Why can't you just stick with Fraggle Rock or Sesame Street or the Muppets, right? Why are you going to the Labyrinth? Because, he knew. And he thought big. And again, you might seem crazy to some people sometimes. Right? Like, how could you think that big? Why can I not? It's America.
Why wouldn't I?
On the truth, right? It's America, right?
Right, 100%.
What did Don King used to say with his little flag?
That's right.
Only in America. Only in America, right? And he was out here pimping champions,
for him.
right?
Yep.
Right. And then if you look at it, me and the team are talking about that today because now they're seeing this all coming to life. Looking at the video and watching it today, we were talking, and I was like, yeah, that's why, we were talking about gladiator sports and all kinds of neat stuff, but it's been, entertainment is something that we like. You show up at the Coliseum to watch the gladiators go at it. The barbarians, right? You show up to WWE, there's Vince McMahon, right? There's your main characters, just like wrestling. You got Kermit the Frog, right? Like you have these major stars, Bart Simpson, right? You have these creators. These are creators.
Yeah.
And some of them are pioneers and engineers mentally that are saying, we could put this show on.
Yeah.
The show must go. But I told them the difference between us and the circus is that I don't tie my elephants up to a chair.
Yeah.
Right. And I was even listening to that the other day about if you train the elephant at a young age. This is actually in that movie. I'm watching The House of David right now. And he was like, if I take that young elephant and I tie it to a string to a chair, after a time of him not being able to pull away, he's convinced himself that he can't do it. And now I could tie that big old that big elephant with a little string to it, and he's already conditioned his brain that he can't get away. He's already trapped. And
that makes me sad.
That's the way they would conduct it,
I
right?
know, yeah.
But the point of it is that's not what we're doing. That's where it comes back to the ethics, right? About the righteousness, right? Of us being these creators and being these folks, but not utilizing it at our talent or our team. Like I tell Thomas right now, make sure all this, because we have a training at CAPS on Monday to use the studio.
Yeah.
So we can film on Wednesday. I'm like, make sure you put all this stuff inside of your portfolio, man. So if Hollywood does call and you get offered $100,000, which I can't pay you right now, at least you're building a new lead, man. I get that, right? But I'm not trying to shortchange you or stunt your growth in any way, shape, or form by just hogging you to myself, right? I want you to get all this experience, man, so that wherever you go after me, that you've logged these things into your portfolio. So that way,
essentially. Hope he is doing that because that would be important for him.
And I said, or maybe you do work with me for 20 years, but you got these other things going on, and all you're doing is overseeing production now.
Yeah.
We got the people going out and they're doing camera, and I could be where I'm doing, and you got team A and I got team B. You know exactly what I love, but it took us that 6 months of figuring out, like, again, communication to be like, that's not what I want. And him getting mad and me getting mad, and it's like, well, we got to figure this out. And then we get together, and then we iron it out, and we edit certain days together, right? And we communicated, calling him and saying, hey, bro, I know that you're trying
Everything
your best.
on that list applies.
Right. I remember calling him and telling him, I appreciate what you're doing. Today you got heated in there, and I appreciate you. And he's like, I've never had a manager call me and tell me that. And he used to get cussed out in Hollywood. He worked on sets.
They're not easy.
Things kicking over and the things that go on and long days. But I remember, we had a good one, and it was, because he has a standard to where he's at, but he also has a personality.
Right.
Where his thoughts, he could take everything as a defensive mechanism where, you know what I'm saying? It's like, no, this is a correction item. This isn't a personal item. Let me communicate that this is a performance problem. And then once we fix the performance, again, because we're filmmakers, again, the performance must go on.
Right.
Right? So we have to perform. And then I remember having this conversation with him, Because what happened was, we don't have microphones, right? It filmed without microphones. So the wind was real bad. And he hated it, right? What do I do? And I'm like, you're an editor. You got to figure out how to, my teacher taught me, how do we fix it? If it's not good, cut it. But I need a solution, bro. I know it's bad, but I said, look, think about us like a taco truck. Man, they got real good food. But then you got a Mexican restaurant where they bring out the molcajete and it's steaming, right? Again, a realistic expectation. We're not at the restaurant yet, bro. We got good tacos though.
Yeah.
Right. So instead of us saying what we don't have and we don't have all this stuff that we need, and then again, thank God, and we put them in there as Ventura County Credit Union, they gifted us with $75,000.
Very nice.
And look what we got. We got a steady cam, right? So that he's not out there holding it. We put it on money and we invested it. There's a drone right there. There's 2 microphones, right? We took that money and two GoPros and we invested that money to take our taco truck to the next level. And once we figured out that it's not us, it's you want a standard of perfect audio, and I gave you footage, but by the next couple months, we have the microphones, we have what we need, but right now, this is what we got, bro, and we got to do what we have.
Right.
And again, so we have to have the right attitude.
Sweet.
So anyway, again, that's part of it, communicating with your people, talking to them, and then even if it gets loud, but then calling them and saying, hey, let me communicate that, this is where we're going, and so now today when we're hanging out, chilling, and shaking hands and hugging, it took us that first 6 months of trying to get on the same page together.
Yeah.
And
that's essential because you want to have the same vision, especially in that kind of thing.
Especially coming into film and a TV show and never filmed them before and what they look like. Like there's a lot of that for me to put on them. So like today there was this, and I'll let you guys go after this. It's about an hour. Is that like there was this little, because of the words of the day that we're using, the first 3 words, like today is brought to you. It's the acronym is MAC, mindset, accountability, and is that what it? No, mindset, attitude, and consistency, right? MAC. And there was a little section in there where me and Dave were talking, Uncle Dave, and he's like, I don't know what should I do right here. And I was like, look, man, as an editor, sometimes you just got to put it on there, and then you could see if it works. Versus racking your brain because he's like this. I'm like, so I'm able to step into his shoes as an editor. Like, bro, I've edited tons of film too. That's your job now, and I still edit some of the stuff I'm working on. But for sake of time, especially when you get to editing, man, and your mind starts thinking how you can pick at it and fix it.
Oh, that's so
you
true.
get fixated on it. Like, just put it in there. And let's look at it. So he's like, oh, that fits. Yeah. So next time, if it's a contemplation, with the air quotes, do it for science. Yeah. Do it for science. Did it fit? Did it work? So it's cool that they're able to talk to him about it from an editor standpoint.
Yeah.
But tell him, but also him not wanting to mess up this new job, and giving him that grace, right? Like, again, there's a time for you to like not overthink this, right?
Yeah.
Because he's thinking, I got to get this done and I got to be this way. But if I give you the confidence to say, look, like, I want to leave it to you, right? I don't want to have to, how about this cut and this edit? Then I'm doing your job. So once we figure this out, you have enough confidence in yourself and how many episodes that I can give you all the footage now and know that you're going to bring back an episode.
And he knows what you expect and he knows what he expects because he does have his own artistic values. And that works. I mean, even this little podcast that we do here, I do some minor editing in it. When we did the Pure show that we did, there was some footage that was great, but the sound was terrible. So I just recorded the ocean. Played the ocean behind it. Right. Nobody knew. Right. Sounded great.
So he was just getting over the hump of getting the approval from me.
Yeah.
When you say, look, bro, I trust you. You don't need my approval, dog. I trust you.
Yeah.
You can go.
And now look where he's at today. Now he knows what you want. He knows what he wants. He knows where the two do meet.
Yep.
And you guys got to
say, hey, bro, I can't answer all your questions. Somebody just got to make an executive decision, man.
Yeah.
And you have that authority. And sometimes you got to get people pass that authority on and convince them to do so. Like, last part is Spencer, one of the guys that works here, he has a problem with saying, I'm sorry. I'm like, bro, quit saying that. I think today he said it only 4 times, and I was telling Thomas, I think he's like, bro, you don't have to apologize for everything. What are you even sorry for? Now, again, he has some conditions and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But here, bro, we teach confidence. I don't care who you are, bro. I can teach you confidence.
And you're doing it.
Yeah. So today it was 4, and his video looked great, and modifying it, and he'll get worked up too. Like, I did and it's like, bro, it's not. I'm just teaching you for the next time. It's not an insult. This is fun. And Thomas will be like, yeah, like, that's why we watch a draft together so that we can iron out the kinks.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But for him to have that confidence that Kevin loves my projects, I'm not walking on eggshells to get it. I'm confident in my ability. Again, confidence.
He knows you got faith in him now, and that goes a long way.
Long way, man.
Yeah.
Believing in your people. Believe in people.
That's true.
That's righteous.
It was on the list.
Yeah, righteousness. All right, so anyway, last thing we're going to say, we got all these partners. We're not going to talk about it maybe next, but look, man, we got 2.5 pages of new partners that we started to work with for Rollingers Fishing.
We got guests lined up for the rest of this month. So we have who do we have? We've got
Dolores will be back next week, the author, with her new book.
Very nice.
And then Danny Long will be the week after that, IBFF Pro. Again, talking about some of the mindset and what he has going on as a pro, coaching me up.
And we got Amy Romero coming in. She's an insurance person here in Ventura that's in Ventura County. She's actually located in Saticoy, but she's terrific. We met her recently, and I offered her the possibility to come talk about her new business.
Again, Scotty, so I'm going to pass it on the authority that if you find any great guest, you book us too.
I will.
Right? I got this one.
Guests are the best part of the show. It goes without saying. And we have some of the best guests. People that I've met through this show are just amazing people. And I'm looking forward to meet more this year.
Yeah. Good stuff, man.
Speaking of which, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year 2026, man. Get out there and do what you love and love what you do. Don't procrastinate, fix your mindset, your attitude, and get your reps in and be consistent. I can blame them words off the top of the dome, baby. Is that it?
So watch this. See, there's a little picture here of the. I'm sharing secrets here, right here on the watch.
Watch this.
There we are. You can't really see it probably, but now we're gonna say bye.
Bye.
And now push this button.
Let's go.
To learn more about Real Guppy Outdoors, please visit www.communitykevin.com. Brought to you by AFTCO Fishing Apparel and Tackle, designed to perform. Channel Islands Sport Fishing, offering deep-sea fishing on quality sport fishing charter boats, and more. Costa Sunglasses. Discover life's greatest adventures with Costa. See what's out there. Daiwa. If you want innovation and quality in your fishing products, Daiwa has what you need. This has been a Rough Edge Studios production.